Hey, this video is going to show you how to create a cool progress meter in Storyline 2. So this isn't a built-in feature, so you have to kind of customize it. And there's two ways. There's the simple version, which just kind of steps from one to the other. And there's the advanced version, which kind of animates itself on. So you want to stick to the simple version if you need to make any changes further down the line. If you want to do the advanced version with the animations, you really have to have all of your parameters kind of set beforehand, because if you try to scale it or change any of the colors, you're going to have to do a lot of work. So let's jump right in. So first we're going to start by inserting one of these pie charts. And just for ease of viewing, I'm going to make it pretty large. Let's say 400 by 400. And then center that. And now let's insert a circle to cover it. So you could just do a regular pie chart and do all of this Pac-Man style, but I like the ring look, and so we're just going to add a circle right on top that's just the color of the background, basically. And in this case, it is white. And then depending on how thin you want the ring, let's try 375. So this will be about 25 less. So that's a pretty thin ring. Let's make it 350. Okay, so that's our ring style. And then for added effect, let's get rid of the outline on the pie. Let's use a gradient, and I'm going to go to more gradients. Gradient fill, linear, and I'm going to do this upper left corner. Get rid of stop 2. Okay, so stop 1 is going to be blue. Let's make stop 2 blue and stop 1 the really dark blue. That's the one I want. Okay. Now we just need to edit the states. Now you can eyeball where the exact places on this pie chart are, or you can get really specific and go create a pie chart. And so let's go back to this one. I actually have one that I created on a website that I'll share. Okay, let's paste that right there, bring it to the back. So now I can get extremely precise distances. And so I just did increments for like 10 through 100%, and then I added 25 and 75 just for kicks. So let's go into states, edit states, new state, and I'm just going to call this 10. And it's already set. So then we'll create a new state, 20, drag that over there to match the 20, 25. And this way, if you have 5 slides that you're working with, then you can just go 20%, 40%, 60%, and so on. If you got 4 slides, you can go in increments of 25. If you have a ton of slides, you can just kind of figure out, okay, at this point they're at 10%, at this point they're at 20%. So that's why I like to use the 10, 20, 25, 30, 40, and so on. You could add more states, like every 5, but this is just what I'm going to show you how to do. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward. Okay, so on 100, you'll notice that if you try to get it lined up perfectly, it's kind of a pain. So we're going to have to go zoom in super close to get this to look perfect. Okay, so it's not perfect at 100, but it's about as good as it'll get. Okay, we don't need our chart anymore, so I'm just going to hide it just in case we need it further down the road. So right now it's at 10%, and now it's pretty simple. When we have a new slide, all we need to do is go into the states and say, make the initial state 20%. And then on the next slide, make the initial state 30%, and so on. You could also fiddle with the triggers. So if you're working with layers and all of your content is on the same slide but on multiple layers, you can have each layer trigger a new state of the pie chart, which is one of the reasons we use states, because if you wanted to be super simple, you could just create this pie chart and edit it on every single slide. But the states thing works because I can use it in multiple instances. I can just copy and paste it in another scene or another project and take advantage of the states that already exist. And so if we preview this scene, we got our progress meter. Now let's talk about how to make the advanced one. So in the advanced one, I'm actually going to cut that and go into our white oval and add a new state and paste it. So the reason I have to do two separate objects is that to animate it, you need a separate object than the object that you're editing the states of, if that makes sense. So you'll notice animations, I have the opportunity to add a wheel, and I like to make it 1 second, and then I got to do a fade out, which is 1.5 seconds. And so let's send this to the back. So you'll notice if I select the object that we're editing the states, I can't animate it. And so that's why we got to paste this extra shape on there. So now we just need to go in once again. Let's copy this and then create a new state called 20, paste it, and I'm gonna need my, good thing we didn't throw it away, okay. And then we can just duplicate it, 25. Duplicate it. And then on 100, another advantage of using a separate object is that now I can actually change the shape and just use a circle. That way I don't have to worry about precisely lining everything up. Okay, so that's that. Let's hide this pie chart again. And we're going to add a trigger, change state of oval 1 to 10 when timeline starts. And then let's duplicate the slide. And then on this one, we're going to change it to 20. And another trick, we're going to set the initial to 10. So that way it'll kind of animate on. Now let's duplicate again, set the initial to 20, and change it to 30 when timeline starts. And that's how we get the kind of animate on effect. Now let me explain why it's tricky to use this kind of advanced version. If I want to scale it down because this progress meter is way too big for the slide, we're going to hit a problem where the circle scales down, but all of these objects do not. And so that's why I say you're going to have to know what size it's going to be before you create it. Otherwise, you're going to run into this problem where you're going to have to go in and either delete and replace it or something else. So yeah, that's one of the problems you run into with that, whereas with the simple one, you really just have two objects, and so let's just scale them down separately. So if I got 80 by 80, and then let's make this one 70 by 70, and then grab them both and align them, that's going to be a lot easier to scale down if you need to do that. Okay, one last thing. I told you I would show you where I got that pie chart, and it's called meta-chart.com/pie. And the style doesn't really matter, just leave it as the default. And the data, what I did is set it at 12 slices So 1 for every 10%, and then 2 extra for 25 and 75. And then I just called it 10 and made it 10, and then slice 2 is 20 and the value is 10. Slice 3 is 25 and the value is 5. Slice 3 is 30 and the value is 5. So basically we add 10, we get 20, we add 5, we get 25, we add 5, we get 30, and so on, then 40, 50, 60, 70, 75, 80, 90, 100. And then the labels we don't have to worry about, and the display, that's what it looks like, and you can just download a PNG, and then when you go into Storyline, you're just gonna have to size it and line it up so it so you can kind of take advantage of those pie chart lines. And that's it for creating a pie chart style progress meter.